All right, so we got some gaming news before we get into some Delta Force. We played Delta Force about like maybe like an hour or so on this off-stream day. But the next lineup for Xbox Game Pass is Gears of War Reloaded, which is a remake, remaster slash the kind of situation when it comes to the original Gears of War games. Gonna be on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Be the first time Gears of War is on PlayStation, multi-platform as well. So you know you're about to get shotgun freaking blasted if you're on PlayStation. Then you got Dragon Age, you know, a game that a lot of people gave a lot of bad feedback to, more so for reasons that has to do with the video game itself. We did a stream of the game, and I should probably put out a review like pronto. Like, to be honest with you, especially it's be a good time for it too, because it's coming to Game Pass. That's today. So Woodbreaker and Dragon Age is today. So look forward to that. So I probably will do a Dragon Age review this week, or at least get it like the script going for it this week, and then get it uploaded this weekend or on Monday. But it's a good game. You know, it got a lot of bad feedback for reasons that had nothing to do with the game itself. You know, just part of the times where people are having like just dumb reactions because, you know, they think something's progressive, aka they think something's woke, when, you know, that's not really an actual thing. You got Hurtling, Blacksmith Master, and then Persona 4 Golden. I feel like Persona 4 Golden was already like part of so that's what's coming to Game Pass. And then we also have this right here, was announced I think 2 days ago, a couple days ago. We don't stream on like Sundays and Mondays, so honestly we don't stream on freaking Tuesdays either, but Tales Games Council we did. So Battlefield's aiming to like become an annual release, basically just again putting themselves in the position of, you know, challenging Call of Duty, which isn't great. I don't like the idea of Battlefield trying to like be the next Call of Duty. It doesn't need to try that. I always say Battlefield needs to be just Battlefield. You have way more success, way more chance to have the crowd you want to have when your game is just being itself and not trying to copy another like franchise. So trying to be like an annual release with Call of Duty is just, it's gonna ruin Battlefield, in my opinion. As long as we've been playing Battlefield since Bad Company 2, it's going to ruin Battlefield, because part of like the enjoyment of Battlefield games is they stick with you. You know, you play Battlefield 3, you can play Battlefield 3 for years before you have to worry about, you know, another Battlefield game. You play Battlefield 4, same thing for Battlefield 1 came out. And it comes like just any Battlefield game, there's a gap of time that allows you to just play and enjoy the game. You can't play and enjoy a video game if there's a new game every single year. Because there's a new game every year, you're only playing it for like just those 12 months, and then you're moving on. You can't really like get the most out of that experience that you will want to get out of it. Like, you can't get the memories that you would want to get out of it. Like, you create memories with your friends in Battlefield games or any game in general when you can spend more than a year playing that game. You know, I feel like they're looking at Call of Duty and being like, oh, I gotta freaking, you know, do what they're doing. I gotta, you know, be a game, because Call of Duty has 3 studios, and that's how they're able to even do the yearly cycle, because it's not actually a yearly cycle when it comes to how the studios work. Each studio gets like 2 years, 2.5 years. And EA is now going to have 3 studios working on freaking Battlefield. That's why they're called Battlefield Studios, because it's DICE, is Rebel Effect, and I forgot who the third studio was. I don't know if it shows it in here what the third studio was. But they're working on, you know, individual Battlefield games. I feel like that can be a problem. You could see people who are like Battlefield diehards only care about the Battlefield games that DICE does. Like, they'll look at the studios like, okay, who's making this game? DICE? Okay, I'll play that one. And it kind of happens right now with Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty, like diehards, if they see the word Sledgehammer, they'll kind of like skip it. If they see the name Infinity Ward, they might peep it a little bit. But they see the name Treyarch, they're buying it. It's like their immediate reaction when they see certain things. So that's probably what happened with this as well. Battlefield fans will be like, if it's not DICE, I'm not playing it.
Now that Battlefield 6's beta is officially over, I'm already itching for some more. Give me some more. I have had so much fun with the beta. Now, it's not without its problems, right? For some reason, I feel like the beta 1 weekend was more fun. Beta 2 weekend felt a little weak. It's probably because of rush mode, really. But this is why I'm making this video, because I want to give EA...
What do you got? What like, Angry Joe? What issues do you have with Rush? Answer me that, my guy. What issues do you have with Rush? You said you feel like it was the rush mode. Do you feel like Rush is not a good game mode? Because Rush is one of my favorite game modes in Battlefield. Yeah, like that was just straight up like my OG mode. Like a lot of times I play Bad Company 2 and then Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, playing Rush. Um, wouldn't say really play a lot of like Rush in 1942. I think we only play Conquest. I think it only had Conquest, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. We added 5 minutes.
Kind of see what the Battlefield community feels as well is what things Battlefield can improve on between now and its release. Now, we know the betas are basically how it's going to come out, mostly. Nothing is going to be entirely reworked. It's basically small balancing changes here and there. EA has done this 1,000 times. Oh, promise this. Oh, this is an old build. It's going to come out a lot better with like 2042. What a fucking lie. So that was a lie. But here, I do feel like they might have a little bit of room to work with. And if this is an ongoing live service, as they wish it to be, then this can filter through, you know, for multiple fixes. But I've boiled it down to 5 annoying things that I think if you can fix will really improve the Battlefield experience. So I guess I'll start with the smaller ones, and then we'll end with the bigger ones. So I guess let's do smaller ones. So fix the light machine guns. Now, don't get me wrong, light machine guns are great. I think the first one is pretty much a laser. They're lasers, almost recoilless with the second one, but they only do 25 damage. Now, you can get good with them, okay? And there are people out there that are using light machine guns that are being successful, but there's really kind of no reason to pick them because the other guns do 25 damage or more effective at certain ranges. What I'm hoping for is that they rework the suppression mechanic. The suppression mechanic.
So this is actually something that I mentioned during my last Battlefield stream, where I was like, I was shooting at a sniper at long range. It wasn't long, it's like medium to long range with an LMG. And the goal there for me isn't to actually get a kill. The goal there for me is to suppress the sniper enough for my teammates to freaking move. I feel like the suppression effect in this game is so irrelevant to where that's not like a real strategy to do anymore. Like in previous Battlefield games, if you wanted to like give suppressive fire for your teammates so they can like move to a bomb site or move in breakpoint or breakthrough, you just pick LMG and just hold down a freaking trigger towards a sniper or whoever is like preventing your team from moving. And the suppression effect was so noticeable on the receiving end to where the sniper couldn't get accurate shots off. It was like you might as well not even freaking bother to try to snipe. In that particular vicinity, you had to like change where you're gonna snipe from, basically get out of the way of that suppressive fire. Whereas in this game, I feel like they just didn't really care to make suppressive fire really any good.
There have been times where I'm using a light machine gun against a sniper and I'm getting multiple fucking hits on him, and he still headshots me, and he's firing through like a wall of bullets, which I just
hope that's not his example of what he's saying. I get what you're trying to say, but I hope that's not his example, because in that situation, he's like mid reload while the sniper has already like lined up his shot. He hasn't even fired a shot yet. It's where suppression effect would even like come into consideration.
Think is realistic. There should be a little bit more screen shake or blur or something, some kind of suppression rework where maybe their cone actually gets bigger and their fire gets more spread.
Even that situation, I'm not trying to like break down his gameplay, but like even that situation too, he's like kind of like pacing his shots. Like he's not just holding the trigger down to like try to get like suppressive effect. He shoots like once or twice and then like stops and then starts to shoot again. Once you stop shooting, no matter how good or bad the suppression effect is going to be, you're now giving the sniper an opening to hit you because you're not shooting. You gotta like just hold the trigger down. But I do agree that the effect in the beta was not good, but you still gotta like hold the trigger down to even try to get the effect instead of just trying to pace your shots. Something like you're trying to shoot to get the kill instead of shooting to suppress.
Help with some of the sniper spam in the game and hopefully how it worked in the past. So I think a kind of a suppression mechanic rework and looking at the light machine guns and the DMRs. Again, this is something that if you're a good player, you can get over. The second DMR is much better than the first one. You can get consistent 2-shot kills with the other DMR.
The SVK has always been good though. DMR has always kind of just been meh.
The first DMR just feels super weak. Now these are small complaints because we have plenty of weapons. Thank God we have plenty of weapons. But I do want them to take a look at gun balance, and they've already said that they're doing that. So that's on its way. What makes me happy, though, is the amount of guns. I looked it up. We're going to have over 40 guns. and I think it's actually up to 52 guns. So this is good. Guess what, guys? 2042, that piece of shit, had 22 guns. We're getting 52 now.
I will say he doesn't need to like call 2042 piece of shit. AngryJoe's one of the people who like quit the game after like the first like couple months. You know, anyone who actually like kept playing the game, enjoyed the game, will tell you that it's actually a good game. Like if you were to play 2042 right now, you would have a lot of freaking fun. It's not a piece of shit. You know, like yeah, it launched in a very, very bad state, which most Battlefield games do launch in a bad state. And it stayed in that bad state longer than it needed to. The maps were ass. And they have reworked maps and like after the fact to make them a little bit better and to give more like cover so you don't just like be in an open area the entire time. So you know, if anything, he should have said at launch 2042 was ass instead of just saying 2042 is ass, because it's not. It's actually a pretty fun game now.
Oh my god, the kind of shit that they asked us to deal with last time. Ugh. So that's number 5, weapon balancing. Maybe do something for the suppression mechanics on light machine guns. Look at the DMRs. Otherwise, I am looking so much forward to seeing all the new weapons, because we only really got a small subset of the weapons. Number 4, server browser outside of Portal. Yes, I know it's coming to Portal. They've said before they'll have a server browser for Portal, but I think it's important for people who want to get into the regular matches, the EA servers, and just because fucking EA's cheap, they don't want to fucking pay. I guess it costs them a little more for us to be able to browse the goddamn servers, keep these servers constantly up and running instead of dynamically switching and using all this technology to save money and shit. Look, this is the way it's been for years. We've had it, and they've taken that away from us. I want a server browser for the normal matches, not just Portal. But again, half measure here. That's something that it will be there for Portal. And I do think Portal is going to grow and get better this Battlefield. So a lot of those modes that we want, maybe somebody can make a 64 Rush 64. Remember those fucking days? They're chaotic, they're broken as fuck, but they're a lot more fun than my number fucking 2, Fix Rush Mode. Fix Rush Mode. Rush Mode was fucking awful in Beta Weekend 2. It is a fucking mess, especially with this current respawn timer, which is like 7 seconds. It's basically Call of Duty. You could just, instead of getting a revive, you just respawn really quick, run to the next one. I think what's happening is the MCOMs are too close together, and because it's infantry primarily, there's no combined arms on it. The maps are small. The player counts are down. Honestly, there's no really reason to play the Rush. It's too close to the breakthrough mode. In fact, I think the breakthrough mode was originally created to simulate the chaos of bigger map Rush mode, right? And so breakthrough is just a better version of Rush right now, and they need to fix Rush mode. That's actually my number 2, but I said it as my number 3, so I swapped these. The other big point here is choose the.
I will say I don't disagree on this Rush comment. You know, 12v12 is not great for Battlefield. You know, no one plays Battlefield to have small scale, you know, combat. You play Battlefield because you want that big map experience. You want that big gameplay experience. You want, you know, the CC4 players. You want vehicles. You want like all that stuff. Like Rush back in the day, you know, from, you know, Bad Company 2 to like, you know, even like Battlefield 5, for example. You know, it basically just it was basically just conquest with 2 freaking objectives instead of freaking, you know, A through E. You know, so it was still on a big maps. It was still a lot of people. It was still hella chaotic. It was still, you know, vehicles involved. Whereas like this just feels more like what's the game mode in Call of Duty where it's like 12v12 instead of ground war. It's basically just rushes in this beta was basically just ground war.
Weapon restriction system. We've got open weapons, we've got closed weapons. You got both. I just want you to fucking pick one. I know, I guess you're trying to be everything for everyone. I think Battlefield's heart lies in the class system, knowing what weapons are available for that particular class, how you're supposed to play that, what your engagement range is, the unique gameplay of that class. You can play that for hours and hours and hours. When you get tired, boom, switch over and you have a different gameplay style. You have different access to different weapons, level to different weapons. Honestly, I really just want them to choose this open-close weapon system. And if it's open, the open style, yes, it appears more to the Call of Duty player base. But I don't know if I need more time with this. But I think they should choose one. And my preference is the closed weapon system.
I agree. I'm way more interested in Battlefield being Battlefield in that aspect of, if you're playing a sniper, aka you're playing recon, you're using sniper rifles. You're not running around with freaking ARs with the recon class. You're not running around with carbines with the recon class. If you want to give recon the chance to, be more effective without having to be snipers, you could allow them to use SMGs. It's like, in a way, but if you're playing assault, you should only be able to use ARs. If you're playing engineer, you should only be able to use carbines and SMGs. If you're playing support, you should only be able to use freaking LMGs. I like Battlefield better that way, because it focuses on the classes more instead of it's just being Call of Duty, but you have class abilities.
So tell me what you guys think. Do you want to save open weapons? Ugh, oh, man. And then finally, the fifth thing is, this is the biggest one, and this criticism we've heard a lot. And at first I tried to shrug it off, but you really should listen to it. These small maps, they're small to medium maps. Let's be fair, it's more small to medium. Here's the actual breakdown. Don't believe me? Well, okay, let's go through it. We've got Siege of Cairo, infantry, small infantry focused. Iberian Offensive, small infantry focused. Empire State, small infantry focused. Saints Quarter, small infantry focus. Manhattan Bridge, described as close quarters, no mention of jeeps or tanks, maybe helicopters, but as close quarters, I'm going to say small.
Firestorm's a Battlefield 3 map, so you'll have some size to it.
Right now, it is Liberation Peak. You've all played on it. That's the sniper one where everybody's doing snipers. There's all vehicles there. I appreciate that. There's going to be Operation Firestorm for BF3. That is going to be all vehicles. That's medium to large, so that's 2. I'll count that one. Then New Sobek City. That is all-out war across construction sites and massive sand dunes. Jeeps, tanks, helicopters. No jets, though, so maybe half counting it. And then Mirak Valley, which is going to be the largest map at launch. All vehicles. So that's 4. 5 small infantry focused maps, some with 1 or 2 tanks, 1 or 2 jeeps here and there, and then 4 that are the combined arms. And some of them may only have, 3 of them only have all vehicles. The other one we don't quite know yet. So thankfully there is going to be free map updates. People have data mined the game already, and I think they've counted up to 15 maps from the 9 that we initially thought that there was. So hopefully within the next 1 or 2 months we're going to have all 15 maps. I just want to push Battlefield in the direction of these new maps coming. Please, more large, open warfare, combined arms with all vehicle maps. That's what the Battlefield players want. It may not be what the Call of Duty players want, but why are we catering to Call of Duty players? I'm just worried about all of the Call of Duty-fication.
Yeah, see, I said it before when it came to the gaming news portion of stream, where I was like, they're trying to make Battlefield, Call of Duty, and when you look at it, it makes sense because people were in charge at Respawn. They put Vince Zampella in charge of the Battlefield studios. Vince Zampella is the reason why Call of Duty is Call of Duty. Vince Zampella and West, it was West and Zampella with Infinity Ward. They made the Call of Duty games into what they are today when it comes to the mass success of like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, and then leading into Treyarch doing what they did with the Black Ops games. So they want to position this game to kind of like get both audiences. And there's this saying that if a game that tries to cater to everyone caters to no one, which means if you try to make your game a game that everyone can play, you end up making everyone upset. You get people who play Call of Duty who try to play Battlefield, and they'll hate it because it's not Call of Duty enough. You get Battlefield players who's like, okay, this is too Call of Duty, not Battlefield enough. So you kind of want to cater to your core audience and just hope that you can bring in new people from Call of Duty who just want a different experience. That's kind of how I got into freaking Battlefield. Back in 2014, back in Bad Company 2, I wasn't originally a Battlefield player. Like, it was something that was only on PC. And I was mostly playing games like Gears of War, Halo, and Call of Duty. And I have friends who I met through Gears of War who were like, hey, you want to play some Battlefield? And I was like, sure we can get them back on me too if you want to. And the rest is history. You know, sometimes you gotta let people experience what the game is, because when you do experience what the game is, you fall in love with that game's identity. You keep playing it because it's not the same thing that you play. Like if Battlefield and Call of Duty are the exact same game, then if you're playing Call of Duty, why play Battlefield? If you're playing Battlefield, then why play Call of Duty? So it's like, if they're in the same game, if they play the same way, if they function the same way, if they have the same kind of like map size and things like that, if all Battlefield is just ground war, it's like, well, just go play ground war then if you're a Call of Duty fan. So I'm way more, this is someone who's mostly an infantry player. I'm someone who is engineer main. I'll get in vehicles if I feel like I need to, but primarily I'm an engineer main. So my job is more so to just, capture flags, hit up the incom, and repair vehicles, and also damage vehicles. I like Battlefield when it's being Battlefield, large scale combat with vehicles, all that kind of stuff going on, where every facet of the game matters. Infantry matters, vehicles matter, whether it's tanks, aircrafts, doesn't matter. It all matters. That's what I like about Battlefield.
Of Battlefield, this kind of reduced destruction. Thank God destruction's back.
Barely.
It's not quite. It's better than it was in 2042. It's not quite the levels of Battlefield 4 and Levolution and shit. So there's a little bit of lack of innovation. Yes, they're returning to the roots, and that's great. It's great going back to what we wanted. But to do absolutely nothing and to Call of Duty-fy some of it into these smaller engagements has me worried. So maybe within a month or two, we'll have a ton of more maps to take care of this particular point. But these 5 things are kind of the pain points right now. One thing I forgot to talk about is classes. How do you feel about classes? I think that the engineer class, perfect. He's got nice suite of weapons and repairing tanks and destroying tanks, anti-tank and tank support, great. I think that the medic is also good, the support class, plenty of ammunition for everybody, reviving people, defib, even the fun defib kills. But I think that assault and recon, those need help. Yeah, they need some more gear stuff. What do you think is the best class, and what do you think is the worst class? Forgot to include that. Put some discussion down below. That could be number 6 reason. Okay, there you go. But it's a good time to be a Battlefield fan. I also throw out there that I miss ribbons. I wish ribbons would come back. That sense of progression felt so much more rewarding when I saw all my ribbons. And I want 5-player squads. I mean, I just, it sucks that I have to leave one buddy out. I don't know about you, but
yeah, during a lot of my Battlefield streams, I kept saying people have more than 4 friends. I get you want to get as many people into a server as possible when it comes to like there's so many people, but the average game, let's say like Siege, Valorant, like all those games that are like max 5 players, you can do a 5 stack. Battlefield, you used to be able to like have more than freaking 4 people in a squad. And a lot of times when I was playing this weekend, we would have 6 people in a party and be like, all right, well, y'all kind of fucked because we're gonna have 4 in the squad, so y'all gonna have to be in the squad by yourselves, and y'all might not even be in the freaking next game with us because y'all aren't technically in a party with us, because it only keeps people in the game together if you're in a party with each other. So not only do you only have like the 4 squads in game, but even when it comes to the joining your friends together in like the browser, that's 4 squads. So you can like have your 2 friends, your 2 extra friends, join that squad, and then when you join a game, it puts 4 of y'all into a group, and then put the other 2 in a in-game squad together, but y'all still maintain that 6-man party size. I think 5 is a fair number, but I would say 6 is a better number.
Oh, people are like, oh, but 64 is perfectly divided into teams of 4 and this and that. So fucking make 70 match players, 70 players, right? 35 players. You could go 6 squads. In fact, you can do 100-player servers, so that we can have an even amount of teams and stuff like that. That could be some of the innovation that you bring back into the game. Now, we probably don't need to go to the extreme 124, these wide open spaces and ridiculous amount of players. I would still like 124 if they design it right, but that could just be the innovation. And yeah, so that's kind of my list of 5 ways that they can improve Battlefield 6, and every single one of these you can address. These can be fixed. These can be reworked in a relatively short amount of time. And the map problem, that's just a live service. The maps will come in. Just prioritize Battlefield players. Because if you're going after these Call of Duty players and you're tailoring to them, well, guess what? When the next Call of Duty comes out in what, 5 weeks from the release of Battlefield, they're just gonna go to fucking play Call of Duty, and you're gonna have a huge player drop if that's who you're trying to cater to. It's better to cater to Battlefield players and build that.
Yeah, because Battlefield players will keep playing the game. Call of Duty players just aren't going to abandon the game because the new Call of Duty is out. That's why you can't try to cater to, that's why you can't try to do this thing where you're trying to cater to both sides. You kind of like, you cater to your core crowd. You hope your core crowd market your game for you to other people to where they come in and play your game and stick with your game. But for the most part, people who play Call of Duty, they're going to go play Call of Duty. They don't care about Battlefield. They're going to play it for October, and then when November hits, they're going to play Battlefield. Even if they love Battlefield 6, they're still going to play Call of Duty. Even still, they're still going to go play Call of Duty because that's the game that they love. That's the game that they make content on. They're a content creator. Tin Up Tap Man and all the people like that who are going to play Battlefield 6, they'll play it for that month. And then once Black Ops 7 comes out, they're playing Black Ops 7.
Up and make it bigger and convince people that, oh, we should be playing Battlefield instead.
Especially, again, remember this, Black Ops 7 is in Game Pass, which means what? Unlike the Battlefield, you don't have to spend extra money if you're on PC or Xbox. If you want to play Game Pass, if you have Game Pass Ultimate on PC, you can just install Black Ops on your PC through Windows. If you're on Xbox, you just play Black Ops 7 virtually for free. Whereas Battlefield, there is no free Battlefield other than the Battle Royale they're going to freaking put out. But you can play like the actual core game, you got to buy it.
Call of Duty, because this is something that I get where I can't get anywhere else. So yeah, that is the top 5 things that they need to change or fix in Battlefield 6. Let me know what you think they need to change or fix in Battlefield 6, hopefully in time for launch or very, very shortly after. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.
All right, so there's a lot of things in there that I agree with when it comes to Angry Joe's comments. A lot of things where it's like, I feel like more content should be given out. So when I disagree with Angry Joe in some of the parts of his video, I'm not disagreeing with him entirely. It's just I'm trying to like expand on, more context from what I would, change up on what he's saying in general. But solid video, check out the actual freaking, full video if you want to. That'll be linked in the chat and linked in the comment section, not comment section, but the description box below for the YouTube portion. Yeah, we're kind of on the same wavelength. The only thing where we kind of separate is when he mentions 2042. Angry Joe's one of the people who kind of abandoned the game and rolled back to it. Whereas like like I said before, the last time I played about 2042 was a few months ago. So. And I played it for a very, very long time. There's a lot of clips in gameplay you playing Battlefield 2042 within the last few years. The game had a very, very big change and shift a couple years ago. And they made the game a lot better. The game's very good right now. So even if you're like anchoring or like you want to play some Battlefield right now, I do recommend playing 2042 because it is a good game now. It wasn't that first year of launch, but it is a good game now. It's been a good game for like the last 2.5 years. So yeah, let's get to the games of Delta Force, see if that's any good. Let's see if it itself can be a good Battlefield substitute while we wait for Battlefield 6 to come out, or if it can be a game to where if Battlefield 6 isn't what we want it to be, could it be the replacement?